as our case study. The history of Tesco goes way back to 1919 when the founder of Tesco, Jack Cohen, actually started up his businesses by selling surplus groceries in the market store. And how the name of Tesco actually came about is when in 1924, Jack Cohen purchased a shipment of tea from T.E. Stockwell, and then he combined the initials of T.E. Stockwell S and his surname C.O. Cohen, and that's how Tesco came about. So from only UK's focused grocery retailers, Tesco slowly diversified geographically and retailing into, say, toys, furniture, clothing, and etc. So today, we will focus on cultural dimension theory to analyze on this case. This framework is actually a cross-cultural dimensions, which they actually talk about how a country's culture influence the society's values and how these values relates to the people's behaviors. We will today focus on four main dimensions, which is uncertainty avoidance, power distance, masculinity, and also individualism. I'll start off with power distance. Power distance means there is no equality in the society. All individuals are unequal, and there are always inequality in the society. Like you cannot get a perfect equal society. Power distance can be defined based on the degree to how a person can actually influence another person's ideas or behaviors. Say the power distance between the employees. If the power distance is very high, meaning the employers will have a very high command on the employees. Okay, now we can have a look at this graph. We're taking United Kingdom, United States, and China as comparison. And China has the highest power distance compared to the two other countries. And we'll now have a look at UK. So in the UK society, British generally think that there's no such thing as inequality. They think that inequality should be minimalized or best if it's demolished. And to them, there's this fair sense of play that they believe that everyone should be treated equally. We have a look at the management of the Tesco UK. One of their motto of managing their company is our success depends on people. People, whereby they mean employers and employees. They are now working very hard on ensuring their employees that working for Tesco is very rewarding, because then they think that if the employees they think that it's worth working for Tesco, then they will take that one extra mile to say serve customer, and this will indirectly influence or even encourage customers' behavior. And in the end, the Tesco will be the one benefiting. Okay. As for US, the power distance is also very low. However, when Tesco go into US, they did not build up a Tesco stores named like Tesco US. Instead, they came up with this new concept, which is fresh and easy neighborhood market, which is mainly focused on vegetables and prepared meals. It's a very small, compact convenience stores compared to other hypermarkets, huge hypermarkets that they have in the US. Working in fresh and easy store, they encourage each other of them to have trust, to have respect, to always give each other token of appreciation, and to share knowledge between each other. Now we are going to look at a short clip of how the employees talk about how they enjoy working in fresh and easy neighborhood markets.
Fresh and easy is a great place to work for a lot of reasons. I mean, one is we have fun at work, and we take having fun very seriously. So that's a great part of it. And also, there's a lot of room to grow. It's a very fast-paced business. So that can be a challenge, but it can also be a huge opportunity and a huge reward.
Fresh and easy management, they focus a lot on the internal labor market. They often have like say staff impression surveys or feedback surveys, and always working on how to improve the relationship between the employees and the employees. However, in China, which we have seen earlier, the power distance score is very high, and it's actually a very common culture in China whereby they have this tendency to admire powerful people or symbols, and even in the product, if you want the Chinese people to buy your product have to have social status, have to have identity, have to have a very good origin. In generally, the consumers in China, they don't have their own, say, opinion. They always tend to just follow others people, follow their superior opinion, follows their superior's command. So when localizing into China, Tesco UK did not forcefully apply their management strategy that they used back at home. Instead, they just follow with the flow of Chinese market, whereby they just let the employers have the rights, then the employers just follow whatever that the employers ask them to do, and the employees tend to be a follower when it comes to working in a Chinese context. Okay, next I will go into masculinity and femininity. Masculinity means that the main concern, the main goals actually drives from, say, achievement, competition, and success. In comparison, for family, the whole idea of quality of life equals to success is not admirable. They prefer to do what they like and like what they do. This graph here shows that the average score for all masculinity for all three countries are pretty high. We'll now have a look at Tesco UK masculinity. In general, British people are very success driven. They work because they want to gain more meaning in life. But actually this causes a very confusion for foreigners like us, because there's a very apparent contradiction between the lifestyle they show to us. Like they used to be very modest, very laid back, and it's very contradicting to how they work in the organization. When they work in the organization, they really care about the results, and all they want to be is to be successful. However, when it comes to management in Tesco UK, there's both autocratic and democratic. Democratic can be seen when they really promote a team-based culture. They really like having employees and employees together, making work-related decisions and having discussions. They encourage the employees to give feedbacks and voice out their opinions. So it's not aggressive to see gathering together to talk about stuff. As for masculinity in Fresh and Easy Store, which is in the Tesco US, they really care about obtaining highest social status in life. So when Fresh and Easy was applied in US, the management actually practiced self-checkout system, which is really not favorable for the Americans, because to them, higher status people deserve very good service from the employees. So they don't really like this whole self-checking out system. And from here we can see that actually Tesco UK, they fail to localize to the US, because US people, they actually prefer the whole traditional, proper paying method compared to self-checkout system. Whereas in Tesco China, Tesco China, they also practice a very high percentage of masculine scores. We all know how Chinese people actually view the world, with the thought that, okay, they only view the world in two categories, which is winners and losers. They tend to really like the whole image of the winner. And Tesco actually managed to portray a very good and positive, a very quality image in China, and that's why it's easier for them when they venture into China. They're comparing two different brands. One is a brand that is well known in other countries, and another brand that is rather small and not so well known. The Chinese people will prefer the more recognizable brand. Okay, next I'm going to talk about the uncertainty and avoidance. Okay, uncertainty, the avoidance dimension focus on how cultures adapt to changes and also cope with uncertainties. It's not risk avoidance, but rather how people deal with uncertainties. Okay, we have a look at this graph. For uncertainty avoidance, both China and UK has a rather low score compared to US. In UK, generally, British people are not really worried about life. They can just wake up in the morning and they will be happy, and without knowing what's going to happen in the day. And they are very comfortable with the ambiguous situation, whereby muddling through this term is a very British way of expressing that. There are also generally not a lot of rules and regulations in the country, but whatever they have in the country, they will adhere to it. Okay. So in Tesco UK, the first performance was enhanced by worldwide acquisition and also joint venturing with other countries. Even though they have a low uncertainty awareness, but they still think that there's a need to do more in order to make sure that the business will be successful. For Fresh and Easy, which is in the United States, uncertainty awareness is also very low. Okay, they launched Fresh and Easy concept retail market in US. However, it failed to capture the heart of the US people because, as I have mentioned before, they did not use acquisition strategy. Instead, they came up with a whole new idea of having this small little Fresh and Easy convenience store. To the US people, they don't like all these ideas. They prefer bigger and more choices in a hypermarket. However, they also Tesco UK, when they went into United States, they actually applied this localization of suppliers. They brought together two of their biggest and most trusted suppliers to them to US. However, when in US, they request the suppliers to actually source for raw materials from the local people instead of using the UK sources. They want the suppliers to source from locally as in United States itself. And for China, okay, so how China do the whole uncertainty awareness is when they firstly went into China. They did not use its own name, as in they did not use its Western brand name Tesco. Instead, they used Daigou in Chinese, and they joint venture with Taiwan. The reason why Tesco UK decided to use this localization strategy in China is because although they know, okay, maybe they did some research on the Chinese market, but not necessarily they know the whole full knowledge of the Chinese market compared to their domestic partner. So slowly when they can build up their image and they expose themselves to the local people with Daigou, then only they slowly impose their Western branding in the whole Chinese market. Okay, and now I'll pass it on to my groupmate Fahia.
Okay, individualism versus collectivism. It means the degree of interdependence of a society maintained among its members. And let's focus on the individualistic society where people are supposed to look after themselves and their immediate families only. And in the collectivism societies, people belong to in a group, okay, that actually took care of them and in exchange for loyalty. And now we're going to look at UK, United States, and China, which will be in the next. UK Tesco. Okay, UK is one of the highest in the individualism societies. When they was a child, they actually taught to think for themselves and find out what is the unique purpose of their life and how can their unique purpose to contribute to the societies. Okay, and therefore, the management in the Tesco's in the UK, okay, they encourage their employees to learn amongst their group members, okay, and to focus on tasks rather than focus on social and interpersonal relationships. Okay, now to be able to solve the individual problems and issues effectively. Okay, and also how we mentioned here why Tesco was not actually very successful in Americas, because they are not very familiar with the service. First of all, is like how Janelle was mentioned, like the self-checkout service, and then the auto-pay system. Americans doesn't prefer that. They want someone actually there to serve for them. And second of all, they actually not, like in UK way of Tesco, the shops is where the chickens are nicely packed, the fruits and vegetables are nicely packed, but Americans doesn't prefer the service. They want to be there to select and pick for themselves.
In conclusion, we can see that localization is actually very important for when the company wants to venture into a whole new market. Say, comparing from US and China, as we have mentioned earlier, US actually failed in building the whole Fresh and Easy market because Tesco UK thought that the US people will prefer the whole convenience store idea, but when actually they don't, they still prefer the traditional way of purchasing stuff. While in China, Tesco is very successful because they understand the whole local market and they went into the market by acquisition and localization. That's all for today. Thank you.